Hello everyone, I'm the Alan and welcome to another episode of Rhythm in Africa. So today we're talking about Kwaito music. Let's get into it. So a very short description of Kwaito music is it's a bass-driven party dance music which people use to express themselves. Bye-bye. So the apartheid government wanted to maintain a ready supply of cheap labor that they could keep under control. So they made these high-density settlements called townships. And the township responsible for the birth of Kwaito is accurately named the Southwestern Township. So young people living here had a huge drive to express themselves and to have their own identity and to share their word with the world, because this was one of the few things they could do given their segregation situation. So let's get into the juicy stuff now. So the narrative that Kwaito is just a version of American house that's slowed down with African elements sprinkled onto it is too simplistic, and I think it takes away from the rich culture of South African music and South African history of the youth. So in the 80s, there was always music that resembled Kwaito. Like there was Afro pop, there was like with artists like Brenda Fassie, and there was also South African disco and even Bakanga. We're gonna do all these episodes. These genres. We're gonna take a dive into all those, and the more I explain, the more you will see how everything ties up together. So the slowing down of house music really happened, but they did this because they did not have money to buy proper equipment to get the sounds that they wanted. So slowing down of house was one of the techniques they used, as well as sampling a lot of different sounds from old songs, old music, Afro pop and stuff that we spoke about just now. And this was usually done by DJs because they were the ones with the equipment to do these things, and that's why the DJ aspect is so prominent in Kwaito music. So the DJs would do this underground independently, but they started growing into huge record labels, and they kept growing until artists like Boom Shaka and Bongo Muffin started gaining international audience. So we cannot talk about Kwaito without mentioning the song by Arthur Mafokate, a Kwaito legend. So this is like a bad word, and it's as offensive to Black South Africans as it is to Black Americans. So this song was released soon after independence, and the point of making a song with this word as a title was to prove a point that, okay, are we free yet? Let's see if we're free by making the song. And it also helped those who were so broken down that they couldn't believe in the possibility of freedom anymore. So that when they heard the song, they were so excited and they were like, so we can actually. And there was also the use of a lot of rhythmic speech. Remember rhythmic singing? So the Kwaito culture also influenced fashion with the iconic sporty sun hat and Converse All-Stars, and this fashion was also popularized by Pansula. So this was a dance routine used as a compensation for lack of a band. So remember, only DJs were doing this, so lack of a band, Pansula. Okay, I don't want to risk leaving out any details, so I'm just going to read this next part. So Kwaito was important because it was one of the biggest economical things to happen to Black empowerment in South Africa, because it grew into a $130 million a year industry of almost entirely Black artists, record labels, production companies, clubs, and fun fact, a radio station. And also clothing brands like Lokshin Culture. If you know any South African clothing brands, put them down in the comments. So this came with a huge drive for prosperity, and it gave the South African youth hope that they could actually get out of their poverty situations. So in the beginning was the word, and the word was... So in the beginning, Kwaito was sung in indigenous South African languages such as Zulu, Soto, and Tsotsitaal. Tsotsitaal just means township slang. And they were doing this because they were trying to reverse the dominance of English in almost everything, So their logic was, if the white South Africans want to be part of this new cool movement, they have to do something about their refusal to learn indigenous languages. But later on, this ended up changing, because with the new international markets coming in, they had to appeal to the new international market, so they started singing in English. Okay, so I'm also going to read this next part word for word. Kwaito is important because it provided a base for identity and empowerment, and also served as a vernacular or style of language for the Black South African youth. So this is just an introduction to Kwaito. I'm going to make more episodes explaining more things in detail and taking you through the journey of making a Kwaito song from scratch. So if I left out something important, or if I got something wrong, it's fine. Just put it all down in the comments, or whatever next you want to see on the next Kwaito episode, because we're going to do more episodes of this. See you next week. Boom, boom.